When I met you in the summer, to my heartbeat sound, we fell in love.
So this is the episode that I wait for all season on The Bachelorette, and it did not disappoint. However, I was a little bit upset about how one thing was handled, and we'll talk about that just a little bit later. But hey guys, and welcome back to Kellie TV. So I really enjoy getting to know the guys on a deeper level, and we get to do that by meeting their families. So up first was Nick, and Andy went to Milwaukee to meet with his family. And he ended up having a really big family, but before they all met up, he took her to a brewery in typical Milwaukee style. She wore a cheese head hat. They went polka dancing. We found out that he really can't dance. And finally, she was able to meet his family. Now, Nick has 10 siblings, and honestly, I've not really liked Nick. You guys know that. I haven't really liked him recently. And I will say on his behalf that I felt like he seemed cooler, like more genuine, more comfortable, more himself. But his family seemed like really intense. I felt like they were grilling Andy. They were intimidating. To me, they weren't welcoming. It seemed like she really liked them, but for me, it would be too intense. Although I really did love his little sister Bella, and the questions that she had to ask for Andy were just totally precious. Now, Nick is saying that he really loves her, but he just hasn't had the courage to tell her this yet. So I think he opened up a lot, and it seemed like he really opened up with his mom, and I do feel like his feelings toward Andy are genuine. So my absolute favorite family meeting of the evening was Chris's family in Iowa. Now personally, I'm a city girl, so it would be super hard for me to move to a farm, but Chris makes it pretty tempting. Chris already has his own house, and it is freaking beautiful, and it's just really nicely furnished, and he lives on a farm, and it's just great, and he's a cute and nice guy. Plus, we find out his family is just as awesome as him. Now, before they meet his family, they do a little tractor plowing, and even Andy takes her turn at driving the tractor. And the coolest thing ever was that Chris rented a plane, and it said, Chris loves Andy up in the sky, and I just thought that was so sweet, and it just shows you just how good of a guy that Chris is. Now, there are some issues with Chris, and really the only issue is the fact that he lives in a mega small town, and we're talking like less than 1,000 people. So Andy has some concerns about that. He kind of jokingly tells her that for work she could be like a homemaker, a housewife, I guess, and she doesn't want to do that, obviously, but he says he lives pretty close to a big city, so she could be a DA there, and that there's always going to be some kind of work for her to do, so not to worry about that. So when they met up with his family, I just absolutely loved Chris's mom and his sisters, and the whole family just felt like down to earth and welcoming, and it would be a family that I would feel very comfortable with, and I know that she did too. So I think that, honestly, I think Chris is going to be way up there. I think he's going to be in the final 2. I really like them together. I think the only thing she has to get past is like this small city mentality, and he makes it sound like it wouldn't be such a big deal. So, up next, she met up with Josh's family, and when they met, I'm like, oh my gosh, Andy looks like she's one of his siblings. Like, she totally looks like his sister and his mom. It's kind of freaky, don't you think? But before they met his family, they played some baseball, and it seems like Andy's pretty athletic. In fact, she even broke a bat playing around with Josh, and I think he was pretty impressed by that. There were some concerns before meeting Josh's family because while they were filming, Aaron, his brother, was getting ready for the NFL draft, and she kind of thought that they may talk a lot about that once they met up, and we find out that they do a little bit later. But first, I liked Josh's family. I thought they were really nice. I did not like them on the level that I like Chris's family, and almost immediately they started talking about Aaron and about his future, and that was kind of a little strange because, I don't know, could they not wait to do this since the cameras were all there, especially for Josh and Andy? That felt kind of strange to me. But then they started talking about Josh and Andy, and Josh's mom said that she could tell that he was really in love with her, and she felt like that this was a great match. So yeah, I think it's going to be Josh and Chris for the final 2. I think that Andy just really, really likes Josh. I think she has just a super bond with him. There's just something about him that has always been really enticing to her, and just that really clicks for her. So Marcus was last, and Marcus's family is not traditional like the other guys. His dad's kind of out of the picture, and he left, I think, a few years ago. but they were still super nice, his mom and his siblings, and I liked his family, but the whole time I was thinking that I just didn't get the same vibe I was getting from like Josh and Chris's family, because she just didn't seem as comfortable to me, even though she said she liked his family, which I'm sure she liked them, but she didn't seem to fit as well in my opinion. And I started thinking the whole time during this that Marcus is going to be the one who goes home tonight. All right, so before we could get to the rose ceremony, we had some really sad news. Now at this point, I guess in filming is when they found out about Eric Hill's accident. So Chris Harrison invited Andy and the guys over to his home in LA, and then he told them the terrible news, and you see that Andy's breaking down, the guys are breaking down, Marcus runs out because he can't deal with it, and even the crew, we get to see the crew come from behind the scenes to like comfort everyone. So while I think it was super sad, once again I'm wondering and hoping that they're going to do some sort of better tribute to Eric Hill, because once again I'm just hearing how terrible Andy thinks it is, which I'm sure this is sincere, but I'm not hearing from Eric's family. I'm not seeing, you know, like a montage of pictures of Eric from the past or learning more about his life before The Bachelorette. And I'm just thinking it's really insensitive again. And after all the fallout from the last episode where they did this, you know, half tribute to him, here we go again with kind of the same thing. And I don't know where they're, you know, what they're thinking about with all this. It's insensitive. I just think it's wrong. It's not enough. Just don't do anything if you're going to keep doing like, what does Andy think? What does Andy think? I don't know. I think The Bachelorette's making some big mistakes here. So they do have the rose ceremony, but since it's so emotional this time, even Andy can't deal with it, and she runs off and she's like freaking out because she remembers Eric standing there before at previous rose ceremonies. So it's really tense for everyone, but once again, I'm just tired of hearing what Andy thinks about it because it doesn't really affect her that much in the long run. So as I predicted, she sent Marcus home, and Marcus was clearly heartbroken, and he cried and he felt like she was his soulmate. So that was heart-wrenching. But when we get down to these final few guys, it's obvious that, you know, these people love her, and it's going to be so hard for them to go on and to be let go, because he thought that they were going to be together forever, you know. So I'm excited for like the solo dates and the suites and everything that's coming up next week, and you should definitely join me in Beamly if you didn't already do that for this episode, because it's so much fun to chat about what is going on while the show is actually on, and we talk about all the guys and dissect them and be like, this guy's awesome and this guy's not so awesome, because there are definite favorites and definite people that we just don't like who are in the final 3 now. I'm talking about you, Nick. But anyway, so I'm going to put that link down below so you can join me next week. And as always, thank you so much for watching this episode of Kellie TV, and I will see you next time.
We could be together, baby, as long as skies are blue. You act so innocent now, but you lied so soon.